Hey class, today we're going to learn how to sketch graphs. I'm going to go through the 7 steps and do an example and show you how to sketch these for our labs that we're going to do consistently throughout the year. First thing you're going to do is get data from an experiment. So I made some data up on the bottom there. You can see there's some sort of weight, maybe it's a different weight car, and I'm pushing it down a ramp or across a table and I'm getting different speeds of this car. Next thing we're going to do is put that data into some sort of software. So you could use Microsoft Excel, you could use Google Sheets. In our class, we're going to use this thing called graphical analysis, which is what you can see here. So you can see on the right that I entered this data over here, and then it created a graph, and I created a trend line or best fit line. Next thing we have to do is recognize what the independent variable is and what the dependent variable is, and we're going to place those on the correct axes. So as you can see here in number 3, we're going to put the independent variable on the x-axis and the dependent variable on the y-axis. We also cannot forget to put in the units. We're going to title our graph. I'm going to ask you to place maximum values on both axes, which helps me out, although I'm not going to grade that for points. And then you're going to sketch the trend line that you see in your software. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize what the independent and dependent variable are. Now you haven't done this experiment, so I'm just going to go ahead and assume that weight is the independent variable and the speed of the car is what we measured. So that's going to be the dependent variable. So that takes care of number 3. Number 4, we got to put in units because I don't know whether this weight is in pounds or kilograms, so I'm going to put kilograms because that's what we measured. And the speed is in miles per hour. So that takes care of number 4. Then we have to title the graph. I give you guys 2 options here. I tend to do A pretty much all the time. So you just label it dependent variable versus your independent variable. So in our case here, it is going to be speed versus weight. Some other teachers might teach how dependent depends on independent, which means here I would write how speed depends on weight. Either one's fine, I don't mind. Now this one I'm not going to grade, but it helps me out when you display data for the class. And that is just labeling the largest number for each axis. So the largest weight that we tested in this experiment was 4 kilograms, and the largest speed that we got was about 19.3 miles per hour. So again, that just helps me out, lets me see your data versus other groups and how big your data range was. So that takes care of number 6, and the last one is to sketch your trend line. Now this is going to be a little bit more involved, so I'm going to make another video on this, but basically you're going to graph your data, most likely put it into graphical analysis, and then based upon your data points that you can see here, you're going to sketch a trend line. Now we are sketching a graph. We are not plotting points. We're not going over 1 up 4.8 and over 2 up 9.3. We are just going to sketch a general shape of that line, which seemed to be a linear line, a straight line going up and to the right, a positive slope. So I'm not even going to put any points. I'm just going to draw a straight line like that. And that's it. Later in the experiment, I'll ask you for what your slope was or what your y-intercept was and what those represent. But for now, just sketching a graph right there, that's all we need. We need to have independent and dependent on their correct axes, put our units, have a title, and sketch the correct trend line. That is it. And thank you very much.